Olive Garden employees who have had to cut somebody off from unlimited breadsticks and salad. What happened? This is something I can actually answer. Was working a lunch shift and had a table of 3 come in. All mid-30s women. I brought the initial bread basket out, turned around and they were gone. Okay, you all were hungry, that's normal. Brought a new basket out and it happened again. Kept bringing baskets of bread. Had to be 7 or 8. At this point we're at about 30 breadsticks and the food hasn't even hit the table yet. I start watching and they are putting the bread in their purses. Just filling them up. Manager asked them politely to stop. That was that. They weren't thrilled. I was a waiter. I had a couple of middle-aged ladies there from lunch until early dinner, roughly 1-6, with the unlimited soup and salad, water to drink of course. Manager said something to the effect of if they wanna sit there that long, let them. After lunch I gave the table to the waitress relieving me. I told her to keep the tip. We both knew they weren't going to tip. The thing I found amazing was their casual, marathon-style conversation. Slow, steady, long pauses and comfortable silences. They both knew what they were doing. When I left around 3 or 4 they weren't even winded. I worked at Olive Garden years ago. Not entirely related, but I had a middle-aged overweight woman always order a pint of Alfredo sauce as soon as she sat down. They sell it in quantities like that for takeout orders, and she would slop it down with about 6 breadsticks before she ordered appetizers. We're talking 2000 plus calories before appetizers and dinner. I still remember her ordering, and her mouth opening and closing like a gooey heavy cream solark pit. You have just ruined Alfredo sauce for me. Used to rent a room from someone who ordered a never-ending pasta pass, and they were accidentally sent to. Rent paid for itself that month. I saw her stealing the breadsticks, putting them in her big purse when I wasn't near, and kept asking for more. Can't blame her, they're delicious. I went with a buddy 2 weeks ago and we could hardly finish one bowl but our waitress kept asking if we'd like more, wink wink. So we got another helping of pasta straight into a to-go box. And then she basically said, you're my only table right now, so if you guys want more food just keep ordering and I'll bring you more. We took home 3 bags full of Olive Garden and only stopped because we didn't want her to get in trouble. Needless to say she got a nice tip because we were meal prepped for the week. The Wendy's in the town I grew up in would do this if you went through the drive-thru at 12:50, closed at 1. Basically anything left over they'd have to throw out would end up in your bag. I'd buy like one thing off the dollar menu and get a dang feast. I miss that place being at a point in my life where a meal at 1 AM was reasonable. It was 1145 PM and we had closed at 11 PM. They showed up at 1055 and complained that they felt rushed. Meal was comped and they left no tip. I hated serving. Another story I just remembered. We had a guy who had a pasta pass. Pay $100 and get all the pasta you could ever want in a month. And would come in and eat and then proceed to either wait till he had to crap or made himself vomit to make more room for more pasta. He usually came alone with the same crusty outfit and would tell everyone how much money he's saving by coming every day and eating pasta. I got plenty more if you guys want. Had a family who we called the Alfredo family. Literally the worst people I have ever met. Came once a week and complained about literally everything. Kids would run around the entire restaurant and steal tips from other tables that were left out. They got the charming nickname because no matter how much Alfredo sauce you put on their pasta it was never enough. I'm talking 10-15 scoops worth of sauce each. They literally used every excuse to get comped food and gift cards. The drink was either too flat or the food too dry. We were the worst Olive Garden ever apparently, which made no sense since they came once a week. They must have gotten thousands of dollars in comps and free gift cards. It was terrible. They even tried to lure one of the managers out to the parking lot to assault her because she was seriously over their crap. Guess what they got for pulling the stunned $200 gift card? Everywhere I've eaten has turned away new customers at least half an hour before they close. Many cafes I've sit on have let people sit after closing if they came in before closing, but they understand they offer no service. My girlfriend says only a manager could do it. The only time they cut someone off was during the unlimited pasta event. He ate so much he couldn't eat anymore, but he refused to leave because he wanted to wait until he could eat more. Yes, I'm aware I sounded like Philip J. Fry in this comment. Oops. There was a place called ITZ with a buffet, movie room, cartoon room, sports bar room, and arcade. It had $2 Tuesdays, $2 buffet. Many people would come for lunch, watch movies until dinner and eat again. I don't work at Olive Garden. I'm just going to share a story that happened last week. It was my birthday on the 22nd and a friend wanted to take me there because she had a gift card. She said I could have it, but I asked her to go with me to use it. There's only one Olive Garden in town and it's always a madhouse. But we went anyways because of the gift card. Got there, waited maybe 20 minutes for a table. All was going well. Just put in a drink order and we looked over the menu when suddenly bam, power went out. Floodlights immediately kicked on so it wasn't dark. So we waited, hadn't even received our drinks yet. Waiter brings us waters. Soda couldn't be brought because something about the machine not working with the power out. No big deal. We're asked to wait to see what the situation is, but we can leave if we'd like. Most stay, hoping it to come back on, us included. 5 minutes pass and the waiter brings out breadsticks and salad, so we're happy to snack while we wait. 10 minutes later we're told someone ran their car into the transformer so power wouldn't be coming back on. Good news was, all soups, salads, and breadsticks had to be given out because they couldn't stay out, and it was all free. Our waiter even managed to snag a cheesecake slice for me because it was my birthday, which was also free. He received a large tip that night. Reminds me of how my brother and I were craving Olive Garden, so we went to our local one, but the power was out. That's okay. We drove 5 miles to the next nearest one, got in the door, said one word to the hostess and the power went out there too. So like good boys, we just found the next closest one. Boy, those breadsticks taste so much better when you have to fight nature for 'em. Not Olive Garden, but similar. My skinny as frick uncle once got the all-you-can-eat shrimp at Sizzler and was eventually told he couldn't have any more. The man had easily eaten over 100 shrimp. It was pretty funny. I'm originally from Eastern Europe, but I worked at Olive Garden in South Carolina during my work and travel trip. It was my first time in US and the whole experience was great but also often awkward. It was weird from the start. People who hired me were very surprised with me showing them an actual work permit. Oh, yeah, we totally need that. There wasn't many, almost none, foreigners in that part of SC, so the manager decided that it would work great if I pretend to be Italian, to make their authentic Italian dining experience even more authentic. I really needed that job so I rolled with it, welcoming quests with my Eastern European fake Italian accent and people loved it. I love your accent. It's Northern Italian, right? Yeah, about 2k miles northeast of Rome, mate. South Carolinians were some of the kindest and nicest people I ever met, although often confused with geography. I'm actually from Poland. I admitted to a great older guy. Poland? Ha, my father liberated Amsterdam. I got great tips, but this one time, one family liked me so much that the father went back to his house and came back with actual Polish bills. He left me 1,000 Polish zlotys and patted my shoulder as he was leaving. Good luck, kid. He had no way of knowing that the bills he left were communist currency with present total value of precisely $0.03. Anyway, the worst kind of clients were the people who just wanted soup and salad and unlimited breadsticks. I'm not sure how it works now, but then all this was unlimited, so you had to run around refilling everything, knowing that 3 hours of this will bring you a $2 tip. Hey, it's 20%. 40. You ladies were the worst. I preferred a table of cartel members who spoke no English than a group of 4 ladies with at least one named Karen. Still, super solid people were nothing in comparison to yearly Olive Garden Armageddon, which was the unlimited pasta bowl deal. It was something like $9.99 per a bowl with unlimited refills of pasta, sauces, meatballs and sausage. I had one guy who ate 13 bowls. That's almost 4 kilograms, 8 pounds of pasta. Still, the only time you could cut somebody off those refills was when they hoarded them in hidden boxes, and that happened a lot. I had a guy who was ordering breadsticks refills every 4 minutes and putting them in his backpack. He said it's for his hiking trip. Stoners often got stuck on eating breadsticks, and once their main meals arrived they realized they are about to explode and they politely asked for boxes. I'm imagining the stoners sitting at the table, having forgotten they even had an entree coming, the dread filling their minds as the plate is put before them. Not Olive Garden, but I got cut off from Denny's unlimited pancakes after 10 flapjacks. I was less than 120 pounds at the time. The cook was surprised when he came to cut me off. 10 pancakes or 10 plates. I worked at Old Country Buffet in the early 90s. We never cut anyone off, but here are a few things I recall. Elderly couples coming for breakfast and staying all day. They were usually nice, so we didn't mind. Eventually OCB made you pay again if you stayed after breakfast or lunch. One person dumping the entire pan of shrimp on their plate. Whole plates of fried chicken, piled high, and just vanishing into thin air. Not even bones remaining. Ziploc bags are a wonderful thing. Whole plates of fried chicken, piled high, left sitting to be thrown away, with one bite taken. The strawberry shortcake bar never failed to have people vomiting. No, you shouldn't put that much whipped cream inside you. My favorite story involved a woman pulling a manager aside and saying, "I don't want to cause a scene, but I found this fish hook in the seafood salad." The manager replied, "I don't want to cause a scene either, but there ain't nothing in that seafood salad that was caught with a hook." Seafood salad that was caught with a hook. Dat imitation crab. I'm always afraid they are going to kick me out for eating too much, 3 or 4 baskets maybe. On the soup note, anyone else ever wonder how far you can push the say when on the cheese grating? I sometimes have guests who are embarrassed, or feign embarrassment, about the amount of cheese they like. I always say the same thing. Every moment I grate cheese is a moment I'm not carrying a 30+ pound tray of food or dirty dishes. This isn't a workout for me, it's a rest break. You say when you're good and ready. I worked at Olive Garden for 4 years. It's a chain, so you never cut people off. But good lord, I dished out some soup, salad, bread, and pasta. I had an obese 25-ish male regular who had Asperger's and came in with his enabling mother every week. Always the worst tip of the week, but they always requested me. It was the same thing every week for the guy. A tour of Italy, lasagna, chick parm, and feta alfredo, and 4 bowls of pasta fagioli with a block of grated cheese in each bowl. Not to mention the 2 blocks on the tour of Italy. The mother would just smile the whole time and call me sweetie as her son gorged himself to death. Those 4 years there were heck. Plenty more stories of a similar nature. Only got to cut one person off because her b-butt decided to complain long enough about the Zappa to get a whole meal, can't choke down a bowl of Noxie and then try to eat more Zappa. She then had the audacity to ask me to take a bowl home. Big ole nope. Was tipped with a Jesus pamphlet. Worked in various OGs off and on over the course of a decade, ranging from Houston to Boston. Even was a trainer for a bit before deciding to go to law school. Never had to cut someone off from unlimited breadsticks and salad. Never had to cut someone off from unlimited pasta bowl. A guy I served at the OG in Greenville. SC ate his original bowl plus 15 refills. He was a big dude, but more in the linebacker sense. He was determined to eat each one of each pasta plus sauce combination. He kept me wildly busy, running pasta and bread out to him all evening. His 2 friends had to help support him to walk out of the restaurant. At the time, a big bowl of pasta was 8 ounces and the refills were 4 ounces. He ate 4.25 pounds of pasta, plus a lot of sauce, and had the meat add-on on many of them, as well. I'm guessing he cleared more than 6 pounds of food over the course of that meal. He tipped $4. On the other hand, I have been in a restaurant where we've run out of breadsticks. Normally, we were pretty free with the breadsticks. You have a set amount you're supposed to bring out, number of guests at a table and one. But a lot of servers just load up their tables at the beginning to minimize the amount of running they have to do. On the handful of days where we ran out, the managers were watching breadstick load ups like hawks. We could not eat any of them ourselves, either. Normally it's the one thing you can eat while on shift. Anyway, people absolutely lose their crap if they show up and find out we don't have breadsticks. The hosts were warning everyone who came through the door and people were still mad. Folks would yell at them, then leave. The few who stayed were nice but kept talking about how it didn't feel like an OG meal without the breadsticks. The worst were the tables that were already seated when we ran out. I had one who kept asking me why I was being so stingy, and when I explained why I'd only brought out enough for each person instead of a huge load up like she'd asked for, she screamed for the manager. The manager explained that she had, in fact, gotten the last basket of breadsticks in the restaurant. The lady looked apoplectic. How the frick does an Olive Garden run out of breadsticks? Honestly, I feel you, lady, but it was 2 days after Mother's Day and the truck was due in 3 hours. The manager's order had fallen short by less than 0.5%. She demanded that everything be calmed. While my managers were normally the kind who would do this immediately, this one refused. Either way, I got $0 on that table and most of the other tables were similarly cranky and low tipping. Worked at TGI Fridays for endless apps. Watched a guy eat 12 orders of Breadstickers. That's 72 Breadstickers. He also drank 14 refills of Diet Coke with no ice. That's 308 ounces of Diet Coke. This all happened in about 90 minutes. Then he asked for the dessert menu. I was both disgusted and impressed. When we were in high school, a bunch of friends went to an all-you-can-eat Chinese buffet. After gorging on many plates, one of my friends, who was legendary for his eating prowess, went for dessert. He took a whole banana creme pie. A manager came over and berated him for being wasteful. There were some vague threats of making him pay extra if he didn't finish the pie. My friend proceeded to eat the whole pie. The manager told him to never come back. My mom got kicked out of an all-you-can-eat sushi place once. She was pretty mad. The manager somehow didn't think a small Filipino from Hawaii could eat that much. He has obviously never met anyone remotely Filipino. I always get invited to go to all-you-can-eat places because, and I quote, I eat like a 21st century Viking. I'm a 5'7" Filipino dude. I just grew up poor. This would be a fun prank to play on an Olive Garden if you were triplets. Just sneak in one at a time and keep ordering a crap ton of salad and breadsticks. The guy can just put away baskets and baskets. I don't understand. When I was a flight attendant, I used to hate serving first class because the people were grumpy. On the night flights we didn't have great food in FC because most people were sleeping and food is expensive, etc. One night I only had one gentleman awake in the FC section and he wanted the meal. Turns out the meal that night was just some sad pesto pasta and a soft breadstick, which I served to him. The man grumpily goes, "What is this, Olive Garden?" And without thinking I said in a weird Italian accent, "When you're here, your family," and he just looked at me and sort of smirked. Still one of my proudest moments. He probably fantasized about suing you right there. I once had a waitress say in exasperation, "Don't you drink at home?" after my 6/7 refill of cherry coke. I didn't get cut off, but it was funny and sort of relevant. Well, with almost $3 most places for dogs, you need to get your money's worth. Plus it tastes much better from a fountain when they have the syrup ratio right. Sorta related. This customer came in and asked my co-worker, who was new at the time, if they could have a box of chocolates, like the 15-pound box that we get them in. I was in the kitchen and saw her walking out with a box. I asked her what she was doing, and she said she was giving the customer what they asked for. I quickly took that box and told them both no. It's crazy what some people have the nerve to ask for. We had people regularly ask how much they could buy the box for. We'd quote them the retail price of $145. When they were shocked, we'd remind them that an 8-ounce box of mints at the store are close to $4. My buddy and I went to OG damn near 30 years ago. We're looking at the menu trying to figure out what we're going to order and the waitress walks up. "Welcome to Olive Garden. Blah blah blah." I forget the spiel. "With your entree you can get unlimited salad or soup," or something to that effect. "What kind of soup do you have?" my buddy inquires. "Well, you can get either the soup or the salad," she clarifies. "I understand, but what kind of soup do you have?" he asks again. "Entrees come with either soup or salad," she asserts a little testily. My buddy kind of glances over at me like, am I having a stroke? I look up at the waitress and confidently ask, "So what kind of soup do you have?" "You can get minestrone, or our daily special is the potato cream soup." "I'll just have salad, thanks," I say as my buddy facepalms and starts giggling. Even 30 years later, anytime I see him I always ask, "What kind of soup do you have?" I haven't had to cut someone off, but one time a table of 4, 2 parents and 2 children, had come in, ordered food, and had maybe 2 or 3 rounds of salad before their meal came up. I got it all ready to run out to them, went to their table and they were gone. I asked the host if they saw 4 people leave and she said yes. They dined and dashed. Two parents dined and dashed with their children. What a horrible example to set for your children. I actually have never had to cut off someone personally. As usual, the but comes in. My fellow server friend had a 3-top in our Merlot section, closest section, and also the best section in the restaurant for seating and tips booths for days. The problem came to a head when, after the tables had cashed out and were just sitting around, they would hassle my buddy for more breadsticks and salad. They all ordered soup, salad and breadsticks meal. Now he was happy to give the first, second, third, fourth bowl. Mind you, this is after they have already had 2-3 bowls. But when they hit bowl number 8 of salad after cashing out and their 5th breadstick basket, our manager had to politely ask them to leave so that he could get a new table. I felt awful for him since they didn't tip either. Why is it the neediest people who come into Olive Garden are always the worst tippers? Although me and this buddy have some pretty good war stories come from OG. Oh boy, finally my time as an Olive Garden slave is useful for something. Not so much cutting them off, but they accused me of it. I had a couple on a date who loved the breadsticks. Every time I walked by they would ask for more. So the rule is with refills you only are supposed to give 1 breadstick per person. I gave them 5. But man, these two went through about 12 breadsticks each. Since those things are basically 60% margarine, 39% salt, and 1% bread, I wouldn't be surprised if they got horribly sick. I'm no doctor, but for health reasons they should have been cut off. So servers have to prepare the breadsticks, so most of the time no one has the time for that when each table wants to have a 10-minute discussion each time you come to their table and want refills on their 5th bowl of salad, which servers also have to prepare. As you can imagine, no one prepares the breadsticks and I was left breadstick-less with these breadsticks junkies. Oh man, did they not like this and complain to my manager that they were being denied breadsticks. I explained to the manager that I never denied them anything and that we just had to prepare more, which I freaking told them. Manager goes back to talk with them. More yelling from the breadstick junkies and of course they got a discount. They ended up tipping crap and requested more breadsticks to go. I gave them 1 so they can fight over it in the car home and hopefully get into an accident just bad enough that they won't be able to eat breadsticks again. There should be a rule in America that if you act like this, managers are expected to throw you out and have your picture taken with a wall of shame and a lifetime ban. Frick people like that. We had 2 obese women come in during never-ending pasta bowl and eat 10 bowls of chicken alfredo each, including breadsticks, salad and diet soda. We weren't allowed to cut anyone off and I've never seen anything like that before in my life. Pasta bowl sounds exactly like what happens after overeating at Olive Garden. I used to serve a few years back. The thing is, you get to choose soup or salad with your entree, unless you just order soup and salad or just one of the two. I was taking an order for a table and when I got to this lady's turn she said she was not having anything. No big deal, it happens, don't know why you would come to a restaurant though. Anyway, after taking 2 tables order, the lady who was not having anything went into detail about what she wanted on the salad. In my head I was thinking, you said you're not having anything. But one thing you learn as far as Olive Garden goes, the customer is always right. If you be and moan enough, a manager will do whatever it takes so you don't complain to cooperate office. Our kitchen frequently ran out. We didn't cut people off per se, but told them that the breadsticks would take 10 minutes to bake. Then we all received an economics lesson in pent-up demand. Prior to my server days, I captained the boys' high school swim team and we would often cause the kitchen to run out of breadsticks, salad, and all 4 soups. Then we'd tip terribly because we were upset about the dearth of food. Once I worked there I began to feel terrible about how we behaved. Not Olive Garden, but true story. A 5-star restaurant in Pittsburgh put a coupon in the old entertainment book back in 2001 for an all-you-can-eat entrees. There were 4 options and each was $50. They were doing this as a customer appreciation thing since they were planning to close at the end of the year. I was 14 and had never eaten in true test the limits excess before. I chose the salmon in a white wine blah 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 with mashed potatoes and broccoli, which I asked them to cover in cheese. It came out on a goddamn platter where the piece of salmon was massive, and it could have been a whole goddamn bowl of mashed potatoes each time. And the cheese sauce the chef made for the broccoli was the best. I had 3 plates except the potatoes on the last plate. Then I vomited about 3 hours later, and even that tasted good. I will literally never taste salmon that good ever again. The soup bowls there are practically convex. But it's true you have to be careful of the diners who bring their own 2-piece fork in a felt-lined case and assemble it like a pool cue. They are the professionals. I kinda want one of those for work now. One guy came in a little before the lunch rush and immediately went to town on the breadsticks. Every time I came around he had an empty basket waiting for me. This went on for hours. Our baker couldn't microwave fast enough. I just went to OG for the first time in my life. Canadian. They didn't even bring me breadsticks. I had to ask for them, and they were really not that good, guys. They used to be way better. They were soaked in butter and garlic and they had much more garlic salt. If it's like Red Lobster, the scam they run is to take longer and longer between plates and give you less and less each plate. To take longer and longer between plates and give you less and less each plate. Much like Red Robin's endless fries. By the last serving, you aren't actually full. You're exasperated. This wasn't Olive Garden, but when I was serving, we had these things called crowties that were croutons bread with bruschetta and it was free with a lunch or dinner. The owner cut off this one table from the crowties and so they tipped me nada. I was less than thrilled since the bill was rather high. And if it's a restaurant where the server has to tip out to the bar, food runners, and hostess, the server literally pays others for the privilege of waiting on the people who don't tip. I never cut someone off, but I did serve some salad soup a couple of times. I put so much Italian dressing on their salad that it was basically Italian dressing soup with bits of floating lettuce. Not breadsticks and salad, but I had a man make me shred 3 entire blocks of cheese and get him 3 of the boats of extra sauce. After I asked for the 4th of each, a manager found out the last 3 were all for the same person and told him we couldn't give him any more. So when I first started working I was warned of a regular who came in at least once a week. He is a character to say the least, as he brings in his entourage of plastic animals. Well, when that day rolled around he got sat in section. He was super quiet and just asked for soup and salad. Fair enough. So I go grab the appropriate amount for one person and he gets flustered and tells me he need much more to feed his animals. So being the nervous new worker I grab another bowl, another huge salad and another 6 breadsticks. I bring the top him and watch as he sets plates out for these little plastic animals and sets food out for them. And at this point I'm in awe and confusion. So I'll let him and his animals eat and come back to check in and he asks for more. So I go get him another huge salad, bread and soup. And as I am walking out of the kitchen with my tray I am stopped by the mod who goes, I see you have regular customer, let me take it from here. So my manger went over, talked with the guy and received the guy's bill. Apparently the mods had to close him out, otherwise he would stay all day and keep requesting more food for him and his animals. I was a server at Olive Garden, and the pasta bowl wasn't as popular as you'd expect. I think maybe 1% of customers got it. We had a lot of people that would get salad with dressing on the side, put it in their purse or whatever, then ask for refills repeatedly, putting all of that raw salad without dressing in there. I guess they felt great about gaming the system. You'll be amazed at how much silverware got stolen. Yeah, because Olive Garden silverware is boss. First off, Frick Darden, Olive Garden, Red Lobster, Bahama Breeze, and their corporate bulls rules. I'd say 99.9% of OG servers don't care how many you have. The biggest problem with Olive Garden is, minus the 2 weeks you serve for free and give tips to whoever is training you, is the 3 table per server limit. While training they specifically tell you to only refill breadsticks to match the table count +1. So if you showed up with your date I'd drop off 3-4 breadsticks and only 3 each time it's refilled. To make the server's job worse they audit the frick out of your tables. I once forgot to charge a table for a side of Alfredo sauce. They demoted me to busboy the following day. I rolled silverware for 10 minutes before walking out forever. I hate Andy's mince with a passion, so web dropping off the bill I'd stuff about 30 on top of the receipt. Silver lining to the whole experience, I discovered weed, taking home 30 breadsticks and playing MMOs. Frick Olive Garden. I worked for OG from 2004 to 2006 at one of the highest volume stores in the southeast. I had the normal issues servers have. Rude guests, crappy hours, people coming in right before close, etc. But this one lady took the cake for me. It came in right before noon. The whole of the restaurant shifted slightly to adjust to the new gravitational actor that just walked in with her two fairly normal looking kids. She sits at one of my tables, orders Coke for her, and juice for the poor younglings. She was pleasant to me, but absolutely rancid to her children the entire time. It was really off-putting, and I remember thinking, why can't this lady just give them a break? Anyways, I finally bring out the food. Chicken masala for her, standard spaghetti and marinara for the kids in 2 kids bowls. I asked if everything is to their liking, and the Final Fantasy boss nodded, seeming pleased. Her kids just gave a nervous nod. So I head back to the kitchen to grab a salad for another table, and as I'm walking towards the awful lady's table, I notice that something has managed to get all over the table in the 2 minutes I've been gone. And I mean all over. I couldn't make out what it was at first, but as I got closer I realized, to my horror, that there was marinara sauce spread onto every square inch of the table, the kids, and their seats. This Lovecraftian creature had dumped both of her children's food directly onto the table in front of them and was forcing them to eat with their hands. She then neatly stacked the freshly emptied bowls on the side of the table for me to collect. Now, for anyone that might not know, this is super crazy. Holy crap, what are you doing levels of unhealthy. We cleaned those tables very quickly, with dirty rags, that have strong chemicals that should not be consumed. I almost dropped the salad I had in my hands when I gasped and only managed to point and say no very loudly before storming into the back to get the manager. He didn't believe me at first, but then rushed out to deal with the situation and throw her out. Surprisingly, the lady was totally cool about it. She calmly got up, picked up her kids and walked out. It was such a strange occurrence, and we talked about that lady for weeks after that. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video.